I used to get really offended when people called me chink. Like that shit used to like hurt when people said that shit. It's just the way the person said it. Whatever the fuck it was meant to offend me. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what's up? My name's David Chang, and I'm Chinese, Taiwanese American, and you're tuned into Shoes Off. I went to William Patterson University. I have a finance degree, which is pretty interesting because I am not in finance anymore. But you know, my parents were like, you know, I wanted to go to art school, like, you know, and they're like, why are you gonna go to art school? I got accepted to this college. I'm like, kind of didn't know what I was gonna do. I like majored in like computer science my freshman year. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? The end of like sophomore year, I ended up meeting a couple people that were like in the business school side of it. And then I was just kind of like, you know, just go where the money's at, I guess, you know? So I majored in finance and I got a finance degree. I was born in Manhattan, lived in Queens, Astoria till I was probably like 6, and then my parents moved to Jersey. So for most of my adolescent years, I grew up in Jersey in Bloomfield. Pretty much I was just skateboarding the whole time. Most of my friends were white, I guess you could say. I had a couple Asian friends. Kind of how I got my nickname is China, I guess. Interestingly enough, you know, people call me Chinaman while I was growing up, like skateboard, just jokingly or whatever, you know what I mean? And then it just kind of shortened to China and it just kind of stuck. I definitely experienced, you know, slight racism, I guess you could say, but it's like, I mean, I feel like experience that anywhere, you know what I mean? So it makes it easier to bear. Yeah, skateboarding was definitely a huge part of my life. Like, even from like music, clothing, like definitely music was a huge thing. Like skate videos, like I found out about like all different types of hip hop, like punk, rock, all through skate videos, like for sure. My parents always knew I skated because like all the homies used to just meet at my crib to go skate. So it's like they knew that I was like skating. Yeah, actually they never like were like against it, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, he's like, you know, skating, it's fine. I guess you could say I was kind of a bad kid, you know what I mean? I was just always like doing the opposite of what, you know, my parents wanted me to do, like, but they were pretty strict with me. I feel like generally Asian parents don't like punish you, like they'll just like hit you with something, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like unstructured, like, you know, my mom, my dad were always there for me. Whether they were like supportive or unsupportive about what I was doing, they always just kind of accepted what I was doing. Even the relationship with my parents now is like so much better because they like, back then it was just kind of like, you know, no, you got to do this. And then now they see that like, no, I went and did this and I'm like doing well at it. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. My parents met in Taiwan. I mean, my dad's like from China originally, and my mom's side of the family is from Taiwan. So it was like, they met in Taiwan through school. And then they came to the US for grad school, and they both went to 2 different schools. And then my mom, like after grad school, started working for like Texas Instruments. And my dad was like in like Missouri or something, working at a casino or something, I don't know. And then like they ended up, they were married already, but then they ended up meeting in New York. Once after grad school or whatever, my dad was like, I'm just gonna drive to New York. And they like drove to New York. While I was growing up, they were like speaking English because they were learning how to speak English. You know what I mean? And it was like, so then, you know, I didn't really experience a lot of like needing to like speak Chinese back because they're like trying to learn English and like I'm like speaking to them in English, you know what I mean? I feel like everyone's just kind of innately somewhat racist. Not in like a harmful way, but like, you know, everyone has like a thought or an idea about a certain type of person. I like had like a yellow North Face bag. I had like a Doraemon like keychain on it. Dude, they used to steal it off of my book bag. Like, what the fuck is this shit? You know what I mean? I'd be like, what the fuck? I never really like kind of experienced that, but it was just like new guy at the school. It's like, let's fucking pick on him. I would just like snap back at them or just laugh about it. Because like anyone that's like picking on you, like you don't give them the reaction that they want and they just like don't fuck with you anymore. I don't speak Chinese fluently, but like I can speak it like pretty fundamentally. I can understand like if my parents speak to me in Chinese, I can understand what they're saying. But I kind of get like being like very like a Americanized Asian, where like, you know, there's been times where like I'm like, damn, I should like know more about my heritage and like, you know what I mean? Like I remember going to Chinese school and be like, I fucking hate this shit. And now I'm like, fuck, like I should have just stayed in Chinese school and speak it fluently. But it's like those type of things that like I regret. I'm like you're such a brat when you're a kid, you know what I mean? I just get really offended when people call me chink. Like that shit used to like hurt when people said that shit. It's just the way the person said it, you know what I mean? That like it like I like whatever the fuck it meant, it was meant to offend me. You know what I mean? Like, I ended up working in accounting for about 2-3 years, and then I worked at like a boutique investment banking firm. Obviously, the whole shirt and tie thing for me wasn't like what I was into, but it wasn't just about the shirt and tie. It was just the industry just wasn't for me. When the whole recession thing happened, I got laid off. I mean, and then I kind of was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try to pivot, like, I guess, pivot and try like what I wanted to do, which was like, after college, I was screen printing t-shirts in my parents' basement. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna just start doing like graphic design, because I learned programs while I was in college. I went on Craigslist, and it was like this like super general subject of like looking for New York's most creative people type of thing, you know what I mean? And I was like cool. And I was like, let me you know. So I applied for it, ended up being in like a pool of people. It was probably like 20 people that like I guess interviewed for this position. This guy was a party promoter, and he just like wanted people to like, I guess, help him promote his parties in a sense. So then, you know, they're interviewing everybody and like, oh, what are your skills, what blah blah. And I was like, oh, like I do graphic design, this is what I want to do. And one day he's like, all right, well, yeah, he would invite us to all these parties and like whatever, we met people. And then like I got this email like, all right, so you're gonna start working at this spot in Tribeca. And I was like, all right. And I like went over there. It was like 15 interns, I guess you could say. And then like fucking Dame Dash walks out like, hey, what's up? Like da da da. So like he like owned this gallery in Tribeca, and he like had a pool of interns come in, and I was one of them. And I ended up working for him. And after like 2 months, I got hired, and then I was pretty much like not living there, but like I would like sleep at the office sometimes. You know what I mean? Like it was just like that space was just like so incredible. It was like 3 floors. The first floor was a gallery space. The bottom floor was like a concert venue, and the upper floor was an office space. So it was just like this crazy kind of like collective, and like Mos Def is walking around, like Dan Auerbach from Black Keys is walking around. Like, what is? It was crazy. The venue space in the basement was called Under 100, so it was like just like under 100 people, and it was like Eric Badu performed down there, Holy Ghost performed down there. It was like all these like crazy like it was crazy. It was a crazy time. And then you know, it was in Tribeca on like Duane Street, so it's like a lot of residential area, you know, and like people were just like didn't really fuck with us in a sense, you know what I mean? Because we were just always crazy down there. And then we ended up like not losing the space. We actually we were like, all right, we need to get out of here before like, you know, shit gets bad in terms of like, I guess people getting arrested or whatever. You know, like it was crazy. So like we were like, I was like floating around, still working for Dame for like a year, and I ended up finding this space on Orchard Street. So we started a whole nother gallery called Poppington. We had that for like 3 years, and that was it was literally kind of like the same layout space. It was like 3 floors. It was like, we had the downstairs was actually like our office, and then the main floor was the gallery space, and then we had like a little mezzanine area that was just like kind of like chill. There's always creatives there, so we were just always like, there'd be rappers there, and they're like, literally, it'll be like Ski Beats producing a beat, and there'll be a rapper there, and they'll be like, oh, I want to make a single cover for this song that I'm doing. And I'd be sitting there like, all right, cool, and just like do it while they're recording the song. You know what I mean? Like, it was like crazy. Mos Def was just like walking back and forth in the office, and like I was like making like a vinyl record cover for him, and he just like come behind me, look over my shoulder, he's like, all right, it's cool. And then like just keep walking back and forth, and then he'd be like, nah, I don't like that. like that type of shit. It was like crazy. Honestly, it was like boot camp for me. Obviously I didn't go to school for graphic design, so it's like while I'm doing it, like I'm learning. So it's like, and learning how to do it faster, and just like how to like process people's like ideas and bring it to life. I definitely like had to be like trained to do that. You know, like I said, like being in the moment where like someone's like over your shoulder, it's like you just got to do it. And even if they don't like it, then you're like, all right, well, let's do something else. A lot of people, it's like hard for them to like work for somebody, because it's like they have this ego about them where it's like no, it's like, I'm designing this for you, but it's my idea. When I see it happen, I'm like, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like how I'm judging that person. Like, I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? So it's like, I guess it's probably that. Just, I don't know, just overall, just like being humble about stuff. You know what I mean? I can't say I really had like a mentor, I guess, like growing up, or like someone where it was like guiding me through the steps of something. I just kind of like really just like learned it on my own, in a sense, just through observation, making mistakes, and then just learning from that, you know? We're at Rise Radio right now. One of my really good friends, him and his wife and another partner opened it up. It's a concept space, have live streaming DJs here. It's a bar, also serve food. Just a really cool communal space that I come to all the time. Socially distancing, have a little backyard action over here. So I work a full-time job. Design clothes for a bunch of licenses, Disney, Looney Tunes, NBA, MLB. We also license Chris Brown's brand, Black Pyramid. So, you know, I'm kind of always in the realm of the music industry / clothing. And then I also freelance design for a couple brands, and I've been working on my own brand called Beloved. It's called Beloved because my name's David, and I remember my mom giving me this card of like the meaning of my name, and the meaning of my name is Beloved. So that's kind of like, thinking of a brand name is always like the hardest thing. It's like I've like tried to think of names so many times and like end up hating it like a day or two later, you know what I mean? So, and this one just kind of stuck with me, and it's like, it's me. 2 years ago, it just kind of like started off as like a mood board pretty much, and then just kind of started making teas and like I'm actually making like some couple jewelry pendants with Tommy Jewels. I'm definitely, I feel like I've just evolved in terms of being a designer and just kind of like learning the production side, because I feel like being a good designer, you kind of need to know how to execute things. You could like draw whatever you want on a t-shirt, but like how it's executed is like, I kind of like have learned to like take things into my own hands just so I know, and it just makes you a better designer to think in that way. My full-time job is like pretty commercial stuff, so it's like, it's not really like super exciting, I guess you could say. I mean, some projects are definitely exciting, but like I kind of like, most of my freelance is just with like my homies that have brands, so like I'm like down to help them out and like freelance and do graphics for them also. It kind of like, that kind of like, it challenges me and it makes me feel like, I guess, more creative in a way, where I could like put my little 2 cents into a project that with my homie, you know what I mean? With Beloved, it's like kind of like a self-expression of like my life. So like all those experiences that I have is like all intertwined into that. And it's kind of made me like who I am right now, you know what I mean? All those experiences. Honestly, I get a lot of inspiration from movies and just music videos. I try not to look too much at like, you know, high fashion and like kind of stay on top of that all the time, because it kind of like, you know, like kind of cloud you a little bit. If you see something and like, you'd be like, oh, I had that idea, now I can't do it because somebody else did it already. If you don't see it and you do it, then you don't have that in your mind, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's kind of taken me like a while to do, because I've always been like kind of working for other people's visions, you know what I mean? So it's like, it was always hard for me to like kind of hone in on my own style of things. With Beloved, actually, like I want to do like a lookbook where it's kind of like a short story, you know what I mean? Having your own ideas and like putting them, like making them come to fruition, it's like, it's almost a better feeling in a sense, because you're just like, I don't even care if anyone believes in this, like I believe in it, and like I'm just gonna do it. So when we were at the gallery in Tribeca, it was kind of like a big undertaking we did was like we'd screen print shirts, and at the time this rapper Currency was there, and like we launched his like Jet Life apparel brand and did really well. From there we pivoted, and like me and my partner at the time, like we're just really into vintage clothes. There wasn't really anything going on in the space at the time. We're like, let's just start a vintage clothing shop in the space. And like we would literally go to Jersey, like go to Salvation Armies and like Goodwills, and like just like find, like dig and like all types of polo and like all that type of shit. And we started a vintage store in the gallery, and it was like pop up every Saturday and Sunday, and then like during the week it'd be appointments. We'd have someone DJ there, like get a keg and just like people come drink and like buy stuff. That was definitely a huge undertaking, and that was just kind of like an idea that we had, and it like popped off, and like New York Times did an article on us. Like, so it was crazy, you know? During this whole quarantine, I definitely like learned that I don't really need to be going out all the time and like partying all the time. Cause like honestly, like going out and like being in New York is just like so distracting sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I could like walk out of here and be like, oh, I'm going home, and then like see someone in the street and they're like, oh, let's go out for a drink, and I'm like, all right, and then, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like all types of distractions. Yeah, I mean, I definitely struggle with, you know, disciplining myself sometimes. Yeah, the whole coronavirus and, you know, lockdown, quarantine has definitely like helped me like focus and like be more disciplined. Hey, you gotta make some good out of something bad, you know what I mean? Like, it's the only It's the only way to do it, you know what I mean? Anything's really possible, and it's like, I've been around people that are like, you know, you're like, oh, I want to do this, and they're like, you can't do that. And I was like, well, why not?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible.
You gotta at least try. If you fail, you fail, but like, you try to do it, and if, you know, people tell you can't do it, it's like, why can't I do it? I don't know. I don't understand it sometimes. Like, I mean, obviously it's like, it's not like me be like, oh, I want to be a rapper. I can be a rapper. I know I can't really be a rapper. I can't really rap. You know what I mean? You have to be realistic. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know, like, even like things that are very feasible things to do, people are like, nah, you can't do it because of this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Anytime someone like has an idea, like however outrageous it is, if they're like actually like super passionate about it, you know, like I'll like try to give them like advice, or like not even advice, just like encourage it, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be like, no, you can't do it, like because of this, like, why would I do that? If you don't have that drive, even if you like failed at something, then like maybe you shouldn't be doing it, you know? What's up, my name's China, I'm a designer and creative director, and you're watching Shoes Off.